Well, this is Lois, and I am going to show you how I'm going to feed my sourdough starter. I put it out last night, which would have been the 31st of December, about 10:30, and I fed it in hopes of making bread this morning, but when I got up, it had not quite doubled, tripled, and I was hesitant to make the bread, so I thought, well, I'll just leave it out and feed it one more time. So it is a few minutes after 11 p.m., I have left my starter out on the counter all day. As you can see, it's a little fluffy, a little foamy, but it's not very. It's the level. It's down to about a little over, well, about an inch and a half. So I know that my container weighs 415 grams. So I allow another 2 or 3 grams for what's collected on the side for the weight. And all the recipes are different in how much starter to keep. If you look out there a lot, you'll see different amounts. The thing to keep in mind is that the ratio must be the same. I started following the recipe from King Arthur, which was 113 grams. I think it comes out to that number because they were measuring it also in cups, but I don't do cups. So I would, if I were, as I am going to follow that one, I would be using 113 grams of starter that I'm going to feed, and I'm going to feed it with 113 grams of flour and 113 grams of water as soon as I put it in there. But first we need to know how much this container weighs. So, I'm just going to pop it. Oops, I got to turn it on first. Pop it on the scale. It's set to grams. And it says that with the container, it weighs 753. So if my container is around, I don't have my watch on. I usually use that as my calculator. I'm going to round it up. If I see 420, 333. So there's about 333 grams of starter in there, and I don't need that much. My container is 120, and I'm going to do 113. That would be 533, I think. 533. So we want this to weigh 533. So this is my discard jar. I'm going to stir that down a little bit. And then I'm just going to start taking it out and putting it into my discard jar. This is where it can get messy. And 13 grams does not look like much after you measure it out. Okay, let's see how much that weighs. It's still 627, so I still have too much. Sorry about that. It doesn't make so much noise. It's glass, so. Okay, we're getting there, 583. Just need to take out about 50 more grams. If you had to do this using measuring cups, it would be really, really messy and time-consuming. That's still too much. 544. Take out just a little bit more. It's 524. I think we said we wanted 533. That's about what we want in here. 420. 533. I do not clean the jar every time. When it starts to get too messy, then I take it out, wash the jar, and put it, the starter back into a clean jar. But it's not necessary to do it every time. Only when the jar gets so unmanageable that you have to do it. Let's see, 533. Oh, we still got 543. We still have too much. Maybe more than I wanted. It's 537. I mean, I could just feed the 537, you know, or the extra. But I kind of stick to the same number I've been doing. $532. Okay, and it weighs 533. So with the weight of the container at the 420, you subtract 420 from that and you get 113, which is the amount of starter that's in the jar. And I'm already making a mess. This is why I buy Sam's paper towels. I do not want this going down my sink drains. Okay. Let's just I'm gonna wash it, but I want to get all this. I don't want to clog my drains up. Sourdough. Okay, so now we have 113 grams of starter in there. We're going to add in. This can go back. We're done with the discard jar. A little messy there. This is not a. It can get messy. Now then, we're going to put in 113 grams of water, and I try to use room temperature. I stopped measuring a long time ago. The temperature of the water, I just try to use room temperature. Now we want 100, and I'll just make sure my scale doesn't turn off. Sometimes it does that right in the middle. I put in 113 grams of water. Okay. Now then is the all-purpose flour, and right now I've been using the King Arthur all-purpose organic. Doesn't have to be that. I'm going to reset that to 0. Put in 13 grams of the flour. 61, 60. 107. I'm getting there. 112. 113. Okay, that's it. That is all that you do for the feeding. Now we're done with the scale, so I can turn that off. Just making a mess all over the place. I'm going to put this over here where you can see it a little bit better. I'm going to stir this up. I'm just going to use a spatula, one less utensil to clean. I don't stir it up in a separate, you could stir it up in something separate and dump it in the starter jar, but that's just a little extra effort, and I'm not gonna. Besides, I've had the opportunity to be in commercial bakeries when I was doing baking for the Jewish Cultural Festival, and bakeries are, yeah, not, they don't, well, anyway, I would still eat anything a baker made, but they don't clean up everything as they go. So there's just no reason to put it into another container to mix it up, and then I know it gets a little sloppy in here, but when it gets too bad, take it out, wash the jar, and then put your starter back in. We just want to get that flour and water mixed up. This is called feeding. We just did a discard. That's where we removed the excess starter to bring it down to the amount that we wanted to feed. And now we're feeding it. So I'm going to, excuse me. I gotta get a drink of water. Right here in the middle. Hang on. Okay, I'm back. I just need to get a drink of water. We're getting this all mixed up. Just keep that off there. Just going to stir that just a little bit better. Okay, that's nice and stirred. And then I just scrape the sides down. And you can use any container you want. It does not have to be glass, but I like being able to see it without taking the lid off. So I opted. The first one I got was the crock, and I couldn't see on the inside, and that's when I decided to get the glass one. I just scrape the sides down. Put as much of that excess back from the spatula. I tried doing this with a wooden spoon, this part, and that, sometimes I do use a wooden spoon, but I discovered the spatula mixes up just as well, so why introduce another tool I have to wash? Okay. And now in the summertime, it's not as hard to, or difficult maybe for it to double or triple, because the temperature in your kitchen is going to be warmer. It thrives well around 70, 72, I think is what I read. So what I'm going to do is put the lid back on. It does have to have a lid on it. And then I'm going to, let me just wipe this up before it turns into glue. That's one thing. It will, when it does get crusty, it's easy to clean off, but it's just I find it easier if I just clean it as I go. This stuff is like glue. I swear it is. Oy. I didn't mean to say swear. Okay, now we're going to leave it overnight, and I'm going to see what it looks like in the morning. I'm going to snuggle it up over here next to my bun coffee pot because it's always on, keeping the water in the reservoir warm. So since it's winter time and the temperature isn't that warm in the house, and I do let the temperature go down to 60 at night, so. And this may have to sit a little longer in the morning, but that's how I feed and take the discard out of my sourdough starter. So that's just the first step. Thank you for watching.